But then we get that now she gets popular because she killed the Garuda and everyone wants to be her friend now when they all was hating on her talking about some, oh, know your place and they're animals. Like we don't want to hear that righteousness right now. And like look at y'all, turncoat. I can't believe that. No pride is a sane prince.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Irbal Sinergy's The Shop. I'm your host, Sinji. With me as always, my co-host, Irby.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Irby.
What's crack-a-lackin'?
Not much, but some lacking cracking.
That's terrible.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You got a flavor
Ain't
this
good
week, big
stuff.
dog? Big Douglas?
Yeah. uh, I just thought this was a good one here when my boy Sukuna when the lady or what's his name was like, yeah, you get that allegory of how the woman was like, oh, I'll try to show you love, and Sukuna was like, hey, it still hurt, but she probably would be better off talking to Gojo about that than me. Just the way he like said it and in the manner, I was like, oh man, that's hilarious, cold blooded.
Yo, my man. You know what I learned in that fight?
What did you learn?
Sukuna wasn't going all out on Gojo.
That's what he said. He said he had to what was it? It was something where like Gojo had to like not Gojo, but Sukuna had to just hold back just enough energy for if he actually defeats Gojo, that he's gonna have to face the onslaught of folks.
I mean, he had to
So,
fight. He has to face the onslaught anyway.
oh yeah, they're not gonna try to let that man leave alive.
Yeah, what'd you think? If you barely won, they'd let you come back another day?
Yeah, maybe I don't know, but yeah, it was interesting tidbits there.
Man,
So
my boy Ragna in Crimson Ragna, my boy took out the 10th seed Superior Dragon and the 8th seed Superior Dragon. And he basically did both of them in one shot. One shot kills.
hmm
Irby, you should watch this anime.
I might.
You should. The first episode's like an hour
Don't tell
long,
me
but
what to
it's worth
do.
it.
You can't tell me what to do.
Yeah, it's a recommendation.
I don't listen to nothing you say.
Listen, I don't listen to nothing I say neither.
Oh, I know. You don't listen to nothing at all.
I don't even know what we're talking about.
Exactly.
Shall we get into a liar, liar, pants on fire?
Go ahead and spark that thing on up.
All right, episode 8. Good night. The third Sanji wants to play a game. It's to beat Hidito, and basically, whoever wins gets to decide what happens. If the third Sanji wins, she gets to beat Sanji. If Rina wins, she gets to beat Sanji, and if Hidito wins, he gets to decide what's going on. Third Sanji basically told Rina that if she doesn't accept this challenge, she's pretty much gonna get undressed and let everyone see, and it won't matter because she's not the. No one will be able to confirm or deny whether she's the real Sanji anyway. Um, right off the bat, they think it was the manager who just got in trouble that set up this whole ordeal, and they went to ask Kaguya for help. It was just like, and I thought to myself, like, I mean, you did kind of get him out of there quickly, but like, also, what are you basing this accusation on? I don't know. I feel like that third manager is really hurting the story here, but I'll continue. They asked Kaguya for help, and They she was basically trying to decide how like they can implement like using because obviously Hidito is always handicapped, so they were trying to figure that out. Figure that out. So once they got into the field and like everything transformed into like the grand stage, they began testing the freeze time abilities because like your move value determines like how long you have to wait for like certain abilities, and for different things it requires different amount of time, and it's usually like a multiple of your value. Yuki ended up trying out a stealth skill and got Hidito flustered when she snuck up behind him and he couldn't find him. And Vampire Dude is back to be a pain in the ass again. Um, we found out that the student council president and the other girl knew each other from middle school, and when they were trying to situate the rooming situations, Yuki and Noah wanted to sleep with Hidito, which left Rina. No, which left the council president, student council president, and the other girl to sleep together. But Rina showed up and said, "Boys should sleep with boys, girls should sleep with girls. Of course, they should be separate," which is a really funny thing to say considering you've already slept in the same room with Hidito.
Make sure
Uh,
no one else does it. That's all.
yeah, she's just trying to make sure she's trying to secure her bag.
Secure
Um,
her bag.
Hidito runs into a little girl who I thought this was gonna be like a trap. He ended up walking her to her room and getting her dinner, and I thought he was gonna like clean up the room for her because it looked like a mess. But no, we just proceeded on with the game, and um Nanase, I think is the random girl's name. This crew is trying to propose a truce with our guys, and homegirl just straight up attacked one of the dudes. And the when it was all over, they won. When it was all over, the council president was like lecturing her and like trying to make her feel bad, and like she had a reason that she did it, but like it was hard for her to say, and he wasn't really listening, so she stormed off upset. And Hidito ended up telling him when he asked if like he's in the wrong, was like, not really in the wrong, but you went about it the wrong way. So yeah, that's it. Not much there. It was basically set up for next episode.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, a few things I would like to discuss with that one.
Fire away.
Yeah, I thought it was they for some reason they got like a voting system in place, and it's supposed to be like an added buff on like who they think's going to win. So they could turn the tide with that. And also, I thought his skills, he used that the black mist and like the predict movement, and what's her name has to go out with she has to go get ability replacement. Kind of curious to see what that is, if that like swaps out people or something else.
Noah.
Uh,
I mean, no, no. I mean, I'm sorry, Yuki.
yeah, the maid, I forget her name.
I think it's mainly Shiro Yuki. I think it's mainly to like she plans on only using one ability. We're talking about the three that they get, I think she only plans on using one ability. She's gonna have two really useful abilities and that card as her third
No,
ability, and she's trying to give Hidito a really good ability. That's my thought process.
yeah, well, she said she's picking it up for him to use, but he's gonna need the people that's like in charge or whoever can get that for him. She was gonna need them. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Essentially, if she does give him a skill, she can't use whatever skill that like he ends up giving her because like it'll get exposed as a weak skill.
oh no, I think it's just like something like a skill that he just. It's like a memory chip function or something that he's gonna be able to use. That's how I took it as.
Hmm. We shall see.
Yeah, and then let's see here. Yeah. Well, it's also funny how he met some new players, and she's like, "Yeah, you're the guy that graduated uh, college at age 5, and this, that, and the other." And just the lies were just outrageous.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was funny. And then, yeah, yeah. Well, you did that when she attacks. But oh yeah, how he was with that little child like all day and all night. I saw this like a trap to tire him out for the main thing. Like they went to the
Yeah,
arcade and did
I
all
thought
the
it was
stuff.
like yeah, I thought it was like a distraction or whatever, and it was just like, but like nothing happened after.
I also thought she was going to be, she might be like his competition. Like, oh yeah, got pulled up. Like it, I don't understand how that was pertinent to the whole story, unless it was something that's going to take place later.
I also half thought that like she might have been like the younger sister of that super scary girl that like showed up during lunch that like kind of called the table trash.
Yeah,
I was thinking like all these wild scenarios and like they just continued on with the game.
nothing was there. So I was like, oh, okay. What was this montage for?
Yeah, I'm gonna remember her. She better come up again within the next 3 episodes.
I doubt it. People that like little details like that go all the time.
Oh my god, so many. I was just listening to like solo leveling again. I started over again and I was just like there's so many things that like don't get used.
Resolved.
They like don't get used again. Like when crafting became a thing and like he never crafted again. It was like, oh.
Yeah. And how that the one girl that was with him the whole time, he I think she was like C rank healer or something. And then like after he got his fame, he was like, oh well, that's it. We're out.
And like he needed a third person to join the guild and he preferably wanted a hunter that didn't have any intention of hunting. She would have been perfect.
Yeah. Like it just man, I it's just stuff like that. Like little threads that aren't
And
put back into place.
in the light novel, he mentions her when they're talking about finding a third member, but like he never reaches out. It's like why can't I only think about girls as like acquaintances? Well, you just mentioned two perfect ones, two who have no interest in hunting and are hunters.
Yeah.
They'll get paid quite well, and they won't try to interfere. Like, what do you?
Yeah, it was just wildness. But yeah, the new one comes out I think in a few weeks, volume 8.
The audiobook?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, jobless reincarnate, or I think that's what it's called. That apparently has audiobooks. It has 6 books at like freaking $20 a piece. So I was like, oh,
Why don't you just buy the 3 credit bundle for like 35?
3 credit bundle.
Yeah, on Audible.
I've never seen it.
Oh yeah. Well, they give me yeah, I get 3 credits for 33.76 or something. I'm like, all right.
Hmm.
I have to show you the link.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, on to Reign of the Seven Spellblades, season 1, episode 5, Glare. So his protector, I forgot her name, but she apologizes for not being in the labyrinth to help him out during that time with the Garuda. And so then we flash to Katie, and she gets the troll to eat. And then we flash to every kid's worst nightmare is when they have to dissect an animal. So they had to dissect the animal. I forgot what they called it, but they were covered in like blood and guts. I was like, oh man, that's terrible. But then we get that now she gets popular because she killed the Garuda and everyone wants to be her friend now when they all was hating on her talking about some, oh, know your place and they're animals. Like we don't want to hear that righteousness right now. And like, look at y'all, turncoat. I can't believe that. No pride is a sane prince. So then this is where things get interesting right here. So Katie's mad that Oliver doesn't get the attention either. She's like, he fought so valiantly and proud. But you know how things go.
Yep.
You never get your credit when it's due, but only
Nope.
after the fact. And so this is when Shelly was like, "Hey, I got some way to recognize you," and she was going to give her a kiss. And I was like, "Wait, no, don't kiss me." And then so the kiss doesn't happen. Katie's kind of upset that she was going to get Shelly's going to kiss her. And then now I was like, "Oh, giving a kiss is customary here." And plants one on him. Like, well, she didn't plant one on him. Uh,
The now
did
did.
she? No, 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 she did, but he didn't. He was supposed to kiss her back, and she was waiting for that.
She
And
was still
Katie is,
waiting too.
yeah, Katie was upset. And then it's his cousin Noel, but he said, "Oh, sis." It's kind of like a Kirito and his cousin. So then we get to yeah. Now we're still left on red with the kiss, and we get to alchemy class with Walmart Professor Snape, Darius Greenville. And the kids are making all sorts of kind of mistakes. And boy Oliver's like, oh, you use this and you do that and you do this, and he's stopping all the accidents. Peter was about to blow up everything, and he stopped him.
Mister, I can do it myself, and then makes the biggest mistake.
Yeah, exactly. That's what hubris gets you. And so the professor's like, I'm impressed you know how to do all that. Who are you? And he's like, oh, I'm Oliver Horn. Not to be forlorn.
Never heard of you.
Yeah, my joke. That's my joke.
No,
Um,
stop.
yeah, so then this is my boy Anders trying to look up for me like, hey, be careful of that teacher. He pretty much takes all the credit and ruins kids' futures. And then he says, oh, there's someone you should meet. And it's the girl that put the spell on Katie. And so it was the spell they talk. They say, oh, the troll. And it's like, oh, he might have been controlled by magic and this, that, and the other. And so then Katie goes back to the troll to feed him. And the troll's like, oh, he actually knows English, like, you don't come back here. It's not safe. And so this is when Katie gets abducted.
And you know what?
Hmm.
He tried to warn her because it wasn't safe, but him warning her is what made her not safe.
Well, he didn't know that lady was around the corner. He was just trying to give her the
Warning
nice
at the
warning
right
that she
opportune
needs.
time. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it was a little ironic.
Yes. So then this is when Nanao and Oliver they're like helping each other train, and Nanao's like, oh, I thought the troll was trying to escape for some reason. And Oliver was like, he thought about it, he's like, yeah, I was trying to escape. And then this is when they go back to the troll and they find out Katie's been kidnapped. Well, abducted. So
Mm.
troll tells them that lady's not nice or whatever. And so then they go searching for my girl, Katie. And they find her, and Milligan's there, Vera Milligan, and take her to the lab. And she's like, I'm going to do a bunch of experiments on her and this and the other. And her clan is responsible for people having, was it? People, yeah, they're like social troll helpers or whatever. But they would run these experiments to give them thought processes and human language, terrible experiments and other stuff, zapping
Mm-hmm.
brains and such.
They're like they're fighting for demi-human rights, but like ignoring the rights they want to give them to. It's weird. It's really hypocritical.
Yeah, so it's crazy. And then they start to fight, and she turns him now to stone. It turns out she has a basilisk eye. and it killed like six of her other siblings before it like finally melded with her. I was like, ooh,
Yeah,
your
you
parents
knew
were
she was
terrible.
twisted when she said that.
Your parents are terrible.
I knew like this girl's got some screws loose.
Like you wasn't even treated as a human. They were just like, oh, next child up.
Honey, she died too. It's time to have another one.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what it was. Yeah, that was it. About to wrap it up. Get some reels. So
You
get more money, more money.
all the time, all the time.
Shoot.
Vinland Saga, Episode 12, The Land on the Far Bank. Okay, there are some key things here to talk about, but overall, it's not a meaty episode. To be honest, they don't even see my boy Thorfinn until like the second half of the episode. But as I was saying, episode 12, the land of the on the far bank, Askeladd gave a letter to the fishing guide to deliver to the elders on the other side of the bank. And while after that, we go to Bjorn, who's waiting for this dude called Ear to finish listening to the ground. And here's the most ridiculous thing I've ever fucking seen in a realistic anime, where like there's no powers involved. It's just like God, people are just really strong. This motherfucker said he can hear about 500 people with Thorkill, and that he can hear that they are days away. Wherever they are a day away walking distance. That is a far distance.
I mean, I don't think that's too far off. Might the distance might be exaggerated, but uh, so like the Chinese had invented it's like a glass bowl with like a paper on or something where like when it starts moving, like you could tell like how much force or whatever. So I guess you could say it's early detected seismograph. So an army that big, you could theoretically figure out like the distance, but I don't know if you could tell like the exact number of people. But you probably be like, oh yeah, it's a large force moving because the way the Earth's shaking and moving
Hmm.
and the vibrations. So it's not far off. But if they were like, oh, there's like if they would have said they're like half a day's ride out or whatever, that might have been more feasible. But
Bro, before Bjorn said before that, he said they were 2 days out. So
yeah,
the distance doubled. Well, the distance got cut in half.
yeah. So it's well, no, I just get like the days ride out as like a what do you call that thing? Like a just a standard unit of measurement. But
I
I
mean,
don't know if there's days right. Yeah,
he could just mean that like if they stay still, they'll see them within this day.
yeah,
Like it doesn't have to be that far. Like it could be like they're around the corner because they had two guys on horses that he spotted on the hill behind them. So they were like close enough to have scouts.
yeah. Especially if you're like trading off and you're meeting people like halfway or whatever. So
Yeah. So yeah, the ear heard the two horses on the hill, and like when they look to the side, they run away. Askeladd's letter we found out was a request for reinforcements. Um, Supposedly Askeladd has been acting strange since he saw Canut's face, according to Bjorn, because like they were surprised by it. And Askeladd said his impression of Canute was he doesn't look like a king. Um, Askeladd's been running his crew ragged. They're tired. They're like worried. And he wakes them all up. Said, "Bjorn, Thorkel is coming. We need to go." So they get up and they mope around, and when they finally get to the destination, um, there's two people standing there. Ask like like this crew is dead at this point. They're worn out and like they're not ready for battle. If this is where the reinforcements is helping, this battle might not. It might be the reinforcements minus Askeladd's crew. But nonetheless, Askeladd bounced down. He says he's honored that the commander showed up, and the dude with the commander whistled, and like a boat showed up. So like the commander had his own entire crew. By the time we see Thorkel, we discovered that like they carried Askeladd's crew across the river, and Askeladd actually
Through the
requested
woods.
help from the whales. I think that's what they called those people.
Yes, Wales.
The plan is to walk through the land rather than on boats, so they can keep Thorkel off their ass. But Ragnar doesn't want to walk through Wales because Wales do not like England, and he's worried that they'll try to kill him. Um, that's when Askeladd told Thorfinn to like be Canute's bodyguard. They're around the same age, say hi, and Thorfinn just mean mugged Canute and scared him. But nonetheless, even after the commander dude tried to get like Prince Canute to like vow like they'll never interfere with their matters, he whispered something in Ragnar's ear, and I don't think what Ragnar said, which was, "If you give us three boats," which the commander cut him off, but I don't think that's what actually what Prince Canute said. I think Ragnar was trying to finesse the situation, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, with that, I think he was trying to say what like was best for the king.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess he said that. So you know, who knows? Who knows what was said? We wasn't there.
Yeah, but
We wasn't with him shooting in the gym.
while they're walking, the crew asks the priest about the valuables in the palace because they're like wondering what they're gonna get rewarded, and they're like assuming he has mountains and mountains of slave women to do away with. And they actually drew a really pretty black girl in this, amongst the fantasies. Um, Amongst talking to the commander, Askeladd had a moment where like he flashed back to Thor's and like mentioned falling in love with a man, and like I don't think, obviously I don't think he meant it like in a literal sense because like I don't think he's gay, but I think like the way he was talking, he actually regrets killing Thor's.
And you could have saw that when they first did it. He was like, alas, it's a job, but
Yeah, he didn't. He
he's like
definitely
this
didn't
rewarder.
want to, but like you couldn't tell he had regret doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because he took a great warrior. He like revered him in the beginning anyway.
Yeah. So, um, they they had some people they met up with, but like Ears overheard something and whispered something to Bjorn. Bjorn whispered something to Askeladd. Askeladd told whispered something to the commander, and he's like, "Are you sure?" It's like, "My guy has really good hearing." Turns out it was an ambush. Killed Askeladd's horse, and like Thorfinn grabbed the shield and stood up, and like he just looked around him with a like expressionless face, and then he's just like mean mug, like he's with the shit. Let's do this.
Yeah. I also thought um, what what was worth noting here was how when, when he had asked for help, it was it was Askeladd, son of Lydia, which was interesting.
Mm-hmm. Does the doggy need some attention?
No. So it was, yeah, Askeladd, son of Lydia, and then I was like, oh, is that like a secret code? Because like normally he says, oh, it's Thor, it's Askeladd, son of
The father, yeah, he's
Odin.
usually,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like maybe his mother is from the Wales side of the country.
that's what I was thinking, or it's like a secret missive that he needed delivered some way. So
Mm-hmm. Cause like yeah, the fishing guy did change his attitude a little
His
bit
whole demeanor. He was like, "Oh,
right away.
okay." He's like, "Oh yeah, I'll get you there. No worries." So I thought it was like a secret code that he did and just went out there. I was like, "Oh man, that's good." Yeah, and also how he said he's a good judge of character. So he's like that was not made to be a king. So yeah, all in all, it was an interesting episode. I did think how they did try to teach Canute the value of speaking up and doing your own thing, your own voice. Because Canute was like, "Oh no, you just tell him," and he's like, "I'm talking to the prince." It's like, "Oh okay, you gotta speak up, prince, or else they gonna walk all over your country and take your lands."
Oh, I think the commander thought Thorfinn was the prince at first, cause like he had the like physique to be a potential king. Foreshadowing? I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows?
Could you explain the deal? I think I was a little distracted by my wife was watching it. Can you explain what was going on when that dude on the boat was like looking around and like a girl was being a slave or some shit?
I think they were. He thought it was Thorfinn because he had the hair and they kind of looked similar in age.
Oh, who was the dude on the boat? Was it? It wasn't Leaf, was it?
It wasn't Leaf, but I think it was someone that fished in the village that went somewhere else.
Gotcha. Okay.
And they're like, and then he started like crying a little bit. It's like, oh, is that Thorfinn? Because I guess they miss him. Yeah, that's all I got for that.
Carry on, my Irby son.
All right, moving on to the legendary hero is dead. The legendary hero is a skeleton. Season 1, episode 3. Wait, is that? Yeah. Okay. So the hero is turned into a skeleton and he's by the river, like looking at his face and his appearance. And Yuno is coming by to wash up. So she's like, "Oh, let me just take off all my clothes and lay against the tree trunk and hide." Like if he didn't have the hair, then he might have gotten away with it.
Bro, how's the
But
hair staying on?
well, your hair doesn't degrade after you die.
So do they just shave it, or it's just is there just a whole bunch of like
Skeletons with hair, yes.
skeleton? Yo, stop. Are you serious?
Yeah.
There,
Your hair doesn't degrade.
you telling me if I dug a grave that was old enough, I'm gonna find, and he had a full head of hair, or she had a full head of hair when she died.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see.
You find you find the juices of the remains of putrefaction, a skeleton and whatever clothes they're buried in,
I'm sorry. Did you say
and hair.
juices of the remains?
Yeah, you're like your body liquefies after you die.
But what doesn't that dry up?
If you're in the casket, no, because you're encased in a box with the
Oh, so
metal
that's probably where that
lining.
smell comes from.
Yeah.
Huh.
So so yeah. So that's what happens. And it's just a skeleton there. So
With
but yes.
some bomb ass hair.
Yeah, and then and the person had implants when they died, they're in there too, or any other like metal or anything.
Huh.
It's just in there.
So you can still cop a feel if you wanted to.
Technically, yes. But should you mess
No,
around an
it's
implant? No.
morally it's morally
Reprehensible,
yes,
repugnant.
yes. All the R words you can think of.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the hair doesn't degrade, and your fingernails don't degrade either. But
Eh,
they just stop growing.
that's weird.
Eh,
I would like.
It's
I'd say peel them off. Just take them off.
what your hair.
Yeah, just shave the hair, peel off the fingernails, remove the implants. Let it be a
I
skeleton.
mean, well, some cultures believe that you have to be whole to go to the afterlife, so that's why they leave the stuff in there. In some cultures, you don't need it, and some people. That's why the Egyptians buried their folks with relics and money because they're like, oh, they're gonna need this in the next life. So
Hmm.
yeah, So yeah, we'll see. So yeah, anyhow, so she's looking around, she spots the skeleton and she's like burying it, and she's like, perverts must be punished, which I'm like, he's like, oh, she knew the whole time. So I just thought that was pretty funny there.
Yeah, her face was just like, I know.
Yeah. And then so Toka and her crew, they gotta go to the capital, but he can't go looking like a skeleton. So he gets the idea of painting his face onto his sword. And he painted on like an Instagram model. Like the paint's so thick, it's like an Instagram model.
Oh my god.
And and then so he talks to the king, and the king's like, "Oh, why are you here? You here for? No, you're not here for money because you declined that. You're here for something else, or this, that, and the other." And then he's like, "Oh, you're finally here to you marry my daughter." He's like, "You don't want to fight me," and so he's like, "No, it's not that." And so then he ends up meeting the daughter, going to a room, and it's a Miss Marguerite Farum, and his face is like leaking down, and she's like, "What's wrong with your face? Like, da da da, you don't look like this." And he's like, "Oh, it's a curse on me, and I have to work and get the curse dispelled." And she buys it, I think. I don't know. Then she's like, "Oh, we gotta keep our distance until the wedding is set in stone." And he's like, "What?" So he's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna date you so hard." I'm like, "Oh man, my guy, he's he's down bad." So
Listen, I'm just saying. No, we're not there yet. Go on.
yeah, and then so she invites him to the masquerade ball because he can just be on the skeleton and pretend it's a mask. And she solves the issue of the leaky mask. She paints it up and does it well, and it kind of looks just like him. Then we flash to Henri and Yuna. They're walking in when they bump into Leland Tillman, the orphanage director. And so they're talking, they're chatting, like, what brings him to the city? And this, that, and the other. And they're like, oh, da da da. And he's like, oh, yeah, mana drops. Because it says something about mana. And so he's like, yeah, you get some of these mana drops. He's like, yeah, I want to. They're like, oh, how much did it cost? And he's like, oh, an absurd amount of money. And they're like, oh, we can't do that. It's like, it's okay. I'll be willing to trade the rest for a- an examination of your body. And this is when Yuna gets the wrong idea. He thinks he wants her. He's like, oh, I want the necromancer. I'm trying to see how that works. And it's purely for science for him, but she went the whole opposite direction.
Yeah, he's a creep.
Yeah. So then Toka's in Marguerite's room wondering why they got a big old cake in there. And she's like, oh, she probably just takes a little piece and just chucks it away. And then so she comes back with the mask and she's like, oh, turn your head. I got to devour this food. Just demolishes it, eats it. Like, what's the hot dog guy name that win every year? Joey Chestnut. Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah. And so she devours it, eats it, and she's like because she asks the legendary hero to look away while she was eating, but mid eat, he turns around and says, "Oh, you didn't have to be so shy about eating that way." And so she eats that, and then I guess she like falls out. She's like, "Ah, needs food." I'm like, "Oh, okay, what's going on there?" Because I guess she didn't have enough.
She got that Luffy appetite.
Yeah, and so Henri and Yuna are participating in a devil hunt, and Henri gives Yuna the physical enhancement garment that she got for Yuna, which is a, a weird, almost no type of protection. But she's like, oh, well, I'm just gonna wear this under my stuff. So it's pretty much like undergarment. And they meet these two fellers. They're like, oh, you're not gonna do anything with the high prince here, or the high queen, or whatever the highness. She was there slaughtering like all the devils. He's like, we know a secluded spot to go to. I was like, okay, why you go to a secluded spot? So I was like, that's red flag number one. Anyone try to get you alone, don't trust it.
No
And they get
favors.
there, yeah, and they get there and they see a whole bunch of devils, and he's like, oh, try this electric thunderbolt stone out, and she does. She knocks them down. Turns out they're undead, and they're Leland's necromancy. So he got them, and then they string them up, and they get abducted. And then you flash back to Marguerite. She has mana effusion syndrome, which essentially prevents mana from being stored in her body. So I guess you also could call it like magical diabetes. That I feel like that makes more sense because food's involved.
Oh, magical diabetes.
Yeah, because it's like she has to eat so she keep her mana up, and diabetic people have to eat certain things if their sugar gets too low. So it could be one in the hand, and essentially they lose. They get skinnier when it goes off the rails, or they make too much or something. So
Oh, my girl got plumped when she ate.
yeah. So we find out that she wants to be a speed eater, and when she eats, she gets a larger form for an hour.
See,
So
I don't know why my boy is so against marrying her. She comes with two thigh sizes.
yeah, he did go crazy for her thigh. He's like, oh yeah, yeah, look at you, the thigh. Oh yeah, the meaty, juicy this, and I was like, my boy down bad.
I gotta put a stocking on this.
Yeah, and so we flash back to Leland, and he's pretty much talking about Yuna's. She's like, you got such a nice femur there. So get some of the best ones I've seen, and his whole evil plan is to make everyone into skeletons anyway. So there's no hating on the necromancy folks.
Yeah, my man's not obsessed with thighs. He's obsessed with the femur,
Yeah, that's
which is basically.
super. Yeah,
Why does every guy in this freaking show have a thigh obsession?
I have no idea. And then we flash back to Toka and Marguerite going out in the town, and his bodyguard doesn't like him because he thinks he's not the same person as before. Which he's right, because it's not the same legendary
Yeah,
hero.
he's right.
Yeah, so that was that. It was a good episode. It wasn't too much there, but it was nice.
The end will be next episode.
The end.
The end of this little necromancer story.
mm, yeah, it should be. I just wish they make the boy stronger. Like that boy weak, can't do
Yeah.
nothing. I'm
Well,
like,
it's weird because like they say there's ways to like improve your mana. So like even if he can't have an endless supply, there should be like
a magical artifact which grants him renewable supplies of stuff.
yeah, like freaking Homegirl's only one step above him and she can use the stones.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
And like
None of
he
it makes any sense.
and like they said like it was an issue because like the sword needs it and like his body needs it. Well like he's making great use of that sword without the mana. So like how about teach him just focus the mana on the fucking vanishing away the corrupting body.
Yeah, I just still yeah. I feel like he should be stronger, but he's not.
Uh, who knows? Maybe mid season.
Mid season, he might get the form. I don't think he'll ever get strong. I think that's probably his quirkiness is him not being too strong.
Yeah, he's just gonna finesse his way out of every situation.
Yeah, that's how I'd see it.
Anything else you'd like to discuss, Herbe?
Yeah, we did already run through that Jujutsu episode.
Yo, let's run through that Jujutsu episode.
Yeah, so Jujutsu Kaisen 238 Inhuman Makio. So Kushimo, the guy who's fighting Sukuna, he's like, oh man, he's perfection. He has bunch of arms so he can weave signs that help him and this, that, and the other. And he's like physically imposing. And so Sukuna unleashes another reality slicer, is what they was what I'm going to call it, but like pretty much cuts through a whole bunch of stuff. And this is where my flavor came in when he talked about the woman that tried to tell him that she's going to show him love, and he was like, she's better off talking to Gojo. So, and then I think this is part where I wasn't too sure about, but I think it's like the creative cursed objects. So like he gives a little bit of his body or soul or whatever it is, his energy into these objects, and I guess they just span through time.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know if it's like resurrection magic, almost like how Orochimaru does his curse mark, where he like get extracted. If that makes sense.
Well, they were also saying because he has 4 arms and 2 mouths, like he's damn near impossible to defeat because like he doesn't need to like divide his attention.
Yeah, he could just eat or he just do whatever he needs to do and just keep it moving with his arms or legs. So, but yeah, the other guy's backstory of how people just like come to try to test their strength against him, and he just would slaughter them and like yeah. So he was trying to figure out the definition of like love and growing and this, that, and the other. I was like, you just slaughter indiscriminately, friend or foe. Like, you challenge me, you just gotta die.
If I'm
And
hungry,
then
I eat. If I'm bored, I amuse myself. And if someone
yeah,
gets in my way, I kill them.
yeah. So yeah, that's the end of it. And Yuji shows up, and everyone's coming to fight. So I'm excited to see how that goes. What if Yuji just eats Sukuna whole? It's like, oh, we're going back to meld together.
So I may do with a finger. Now it's just gonna be you, me, and Megami.
Yeah. So
I'll switch
good
spots with
episode,
him. I
though.
won't switch with you.
Yeah. This took my boy body.
All right. Well, anything else, Herbie?
No, that was it.
All right. Well, guys, that's gonna do it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch you next week. Peace.
Peace.